Welcome back into Studio A, Gridiron fans. I am FAC reporter Blake Baker, joined on desk by fellow FAC reporter Connor Mills, and we're going to break down once again power rankings, this time going into week 9. Once again, no changes in our power rankings this week, but we're still going to break it down for you. We're going to give you how every team did last week, and for teams that have playoff implications going forward, we're going to look at what they need to do to get to week 11. First, like it is every week, the Jackson Ironmen still atop the FAC. They are dominating still.
That's right, Blake. You know, this is huge in part because of Blake McCoy. Last week, he rushed for 201 yards on 30 carries. He's just been unstoppable this season.
Yeah, Blake McCoy is a big reason that they're 7-1 up to this point and undefeated in the FAC. And that defense is also doing its part. They've only allowed 48 points in FAC so far this season. They're sitting at the 6th spot in Division III, Region 11. And if they beat Chillicothe Week 10, there's no doubt that they will be not only FAC champions, but also playoff representatives this season.
Remaining at number 2 this week is the Chillicothe Cavaliers.
Yeah, they're coming off of a 42-7 win over Miami Trace, and that puts them up to 6-2 and undefeated still in the conference. They had a very balanced attack on offense this week, over 160 yards passing and also over 140 yards rushing.
That's right. A large part of that was Brandon Moffmer. He completed 5 out of 9 passes, threw for 109 yards and had 3 touchdowns. He also contributed with his legs, 11 carries for 80 yards and a touchdown. He had 4 total last game.
Yeah, and 7 different guys on that offense got a touch, and they had over 200 more yards than the Panthers on offense. The Cavs sit at the 8th spot, right on the brink in Division II, Region 8, and if they need to win out, and even then, even if they do beat Jackson Week 10, it's not guaranteed that they have a playoff spot, but all they can do is control themselves right now and go ahead and get that win Week 10.
Coming in at number 3 this week, it's the Hillsboro Indians.
Yeah, the Indians suffered a tough loss at home against Jackson on Friday night, 28-6, and that effectively removes them from the FAC Conference Championship play as well as playoff contention. They're sitting at number 17 right now, so they're essentially out of the playoff race as they play both Miami Trace and McLean the next 2 weeks, the 2 worst teams in the conference. They got shut out in the second half against Jackson, and they had a fumble that resulted in a touchdown. Those little mistakes that when you're playing a team like Jackson, the best team in the conference, you can't afford to make if you're going to win a ball game.
That's right, Blake. Remaining at number 4, it's Washington Courthouse Blue Lions, and Blake, they had a great game last week.
Absolutely, and they are loving the fact that Dylan Stewart is back. It's his first week back since week 3, and he had 6 total touchdowns. It makes it 21 total in just 4 games on the season. He had 250 rushing yards.
Yeah, it was great. And in addition to his legs, he did it in the air. 159 passing yards, threw for 4 of those touchdowns, completed 10 out of 18. He looked fantastic.
Yeah, they had over 500 total yards on offense, and they didn't punt 1 time. So that offense we were talking about needed a little bit more efficiency and balanced attack. They got it on Friday against McLean. And Richard Burns, who was previously at quarterback instead of Stewart, had 4 catches for 76 yards and a touchdown, led the team in receiving. And Washington Courthouse, they sit at the 16th spot in Division IV, Region 16, and they're probably out of it, but if they do beat Chillicothe this week in a home game, that could go a long way for them. We'll just have to see what happens.
Remaining at number 5 this week, it's the Miami Trace Panthers.
Yeah, they suffered a 42-7 loss to Chillicothe we mentioned earlier. They're still 1-7 and only just 1 win in the conference, and they had only a little bit over 100 yards of total offense against the Cavs.
Yeah, that's right. Running back Brady Wallace had a decent game. He had 13 carries for 65 yards and had their only touchdown. They dominated the time of possession with 30 minutes, but they really couldn't get anything started on offense.
Yeah, and they also have more first downs than Chillicothe, so they need to be more efficient in closing out the drives and getting some touchdowns in. I mean, 42-7, that's really not going to win you a whole lot of ball games, especially when you dominate time of possession, almost double it.
And then coming in at the bottom of the FAC, it's the McLean Tigers.
Yeah, I know McLean has sat at number 6 in every single one of our power rankings so far, but they should be holding their heads high after one of their best weeks so far, the best offensive week in a while since they lost to East Clinton and scored 14 points. They scored 10 this week. They had a season-high 168 passing yards to go along with 96 rushing yards. Osborne
had 130 yards in the air, had his touchdown, and it was just nice to see a little improvement from McLean this week.
Another problem going forward with them is they did miss Darius White this last game, who was their better playmaker for the majority of the season up to this point. So somebody else is going to need to step up. Maybe it's Justin Osborne, maybe it's Landry Gray, maybe it's Tanner Tite going forward, but the Tigers are still searching for their first win, and they do play their rival Hillsboro Week 10. So once again, it looks like McLean is going to lose that game on paper, but that's why they play the games.
Absolutely.
So that'll do it for our countdown this week. Be sure to tune into our show 11:30 live on Friday nights. And if you missed that, check us out at Saturday at 11:30 in the morning. And if you're a social media person, give us a follow on all of our social media outlets. You can follow us at Gridiron Glory on Snapchat, Facebook, and Twitter. That's all we got from the studio tonight. More midweek coverage coming your way next week. And until then, I'm Blake Baker. He's Connor Mills. We'll see you on Friday.